Welcome to The Landed. I'm your host, Alex. So I want to build some context on what The Landed is. So 2 years ago, I decided that, or this was really a dream kind of forming and defining over time. And one of my friends who is also co-host, Adrian, who will be on here, I say he penned the term, but he really didn't create it. But there's an idea and a theme called burn the ships. And back when explorers would go and find new places to explore, whenever they would find land, they would burn the ship. And the theme and the idea of burning the ships is it's either we make it or we don't. It's the win or die situation. And I think a lot of times our life is met with that idea. It's either that we commit to failing or we commit to seeing through the process and the journey of what's in front of us. And over the years, I've seen my life play out that theme. And when I first heard burn the ships, in a conversation with Adrian, it resonated with the constant change that happens in life. You don't know, or they didn't know as explorers, what was in front of them. They didn't know the land. They didn't know what to expect. All they knew was that we are going to make this work. We're going to fight for whatever it is that we need to do to succeed. And so that's where Burn the Ships, or that's where The Landed comes from. Originally, I wanted to name the podcast Burn the Ships, but there are other podcasts named that. And so The Landed is about the journey of setting your feet down on that land, setting your feet on the decision to commit and work and fight through the process and change internally what you need in life, whether that's through leadership, whether that's through marriage, parenting, friendship, and discipleship. I think at the core of it all, it's the journey of change as a disciple of Jesus. It's what we long for. It's the relationship with this amazing God that we continue to hear about and that we also get to experience in real life. And so that's where The Landed came from. It's not about reflecting on the ship sinking into the water in flames. It's about looking at the journey ahead in what this new region, this new land has to offer. So what I'm hoping for are two things. First is really this is an opportunity for me to gather my thoughts and what God is showing me in my life. It's a way to gather what I'm processing in my life. A lot of times we need the time to listen and talk about what we're going through in life, right? This is taking the leap of faith to making this real. The second is I spent a lot of time talking about leadership with friends who will eventually be on the podcast. There are so many good insights and ideas that come from these people. I want to share that. I want to share them with you because they've blessed me in my life, and I want them to bless you. As we go on the journey of what leadership means and how that applies to marriages, friendships, business, and everyday interaction of people. At the core of what I'm hoping for is painting the picture of what true discipleship looks like. Not trying to forge ideas into existence, but really practicing daily what we're called to do for each other. So I'm really excited for this first episode. I'm excited about the journey of taking the leap of faith. That's really what this first episode is about. It all started about a year and a half ago. My buddy Adrian and I we work out in the mornings, around 5 a.m. And what typically starts off as a typical workout turns into this hours dialogue of what God is putting on our hearts and really testing our thoughts around these ideas and getting direction and keeping each other accountable, but also making sure that our thought process is correct, because there are so many times that we can hear from God and mislead it with what we want in that situation. So I had it in my heart to do a podcast, and I asked Adrian, hey, dude, what do you think about this idea? And originally the idea was just to make a podcast about leadership, right? Because my profession, I'm an HR leader, worked at startups. I built a bunch of process, and I've worked at some really great companies, and I've seen great companies do great things, and I've seen really great companies do bad things. There's a lot that I have to offer in terms of ideas, right? In terms of business. I've practiced over the years in my own business and partnering with businesses and partnering with my business partner and other people. And I found myself wanting more. Feeling like there has to be more to life than just clocking in and clocking out and making a ton of money and trying to make other companies successful. Then I started to realize, as I was introduced to the Bible Project reading plan on the Bible app, there is so much more that people are missing out on because we don't understand. And I'm talking about, we do not understand the human condition. So over the past year and a half, almost 2 years, now that I've been on this journey of change, not just in leadership and business, but as an individual, as a human being, trying to mimic the ways of Jesus. So in that journey, I thought, what would be really cool? Start a podcast. So I talked to Adrian and asked if he wanted to do it. And he was in. As I've gone through the year, I've gone through divorce and learning what it means to partner with an ex-spouse, and she and I have kids together. And I'm learning, what does it look like biblically, emotionally, to partner? So as I fast forward to this week, the week of Christmas, I realized that, and as I was praying and I was kind of figuring out what does this next season look like, I just had this desire to start this podcast. And I was listening to another podcast. It's called The Basement by Tim Ross. And he talked about just committing to starting. So I started thinking about that. I started praying about that. And this deep desire could not go away. I kept hearing, start the podcast. Just do it. Start it. So I started thinking, well, I got to get all these mics. I've got to get all these things to start it. Quick context and backstory. I've been in audio production for many years. I was a DJ and a producer. I went to school for music and audio production. I have most of everything that I need to start a podcast, except for the specific mics that I want. But those things can come with time. But in my head, I had to have these things to go and create. This is what I need to do. But the reality is, technology is getting so good nowadays that we don't need to think we need to have the best in order to start something. So today, I'm recording this on my iPhone 14 with the expectation of moving into using better equipment and having better quality. There is a level of excellence that I care for and I want to continue to put forth in anything that I do. But what I realized, it's not about the journey of getting these things. It's not about starting something to get better equipment one day. It's about taking the leap of faith and starting it now. I needed to commit to what I'm feeling internally and doing it. Whether it fails or it doesn't, I needed to commit and do it. The goal is not to have 1 million views or listeners. The goal is to get started. So I'm taking the leap of faith. There are so many things that I struggle with as an individual, especially as a musician and an artist. There are insecurities. I hate my voice. That's why I'm not a singer. Sometimes I mumble. I hate to repeat myself. My fear is that, what if people don't like my voice or care to listen to me? And there's the insecurity of being a Latin man on top of that. Whereas some individuals may feel, well, I don't want to listen to this dude because he doesn't look like me or he didn't grow up like me. And what does he have to offer that I don't already know? but I had to take the leap of faith. I felt like God was calling me to do this, to go and start this thing, go and start the podcast, go. It's really scary to think about, but there's also so much relief in hitting record and doing it. So I'm excited about just being able to put my thoughts down and take the leap of faith. I just hope that if it's just one listener that hears this podcast and has transformation in their life and they feel more committed to chasing after what God is putting on their heart, if it inspires one person, then great. If it inspires 1 million people, then great. But I'm excited about being able to process the honest thoughts, the insecurities in real life, and say, let's go. So this year, I'm trying to commit to 1 episode a week, whether it's done through my iPhone or a controlled recording environment. I'm excited to introduce you to my friends, to my circle. And man, they range from 60 years old on down to their 20s. I'm a 37-year-old man in this new phase of life. I'm a dad, now a single dad, figuring out what it's like to partner through divorce. I'm also a Christian who's trying to live out true discipleship. I'm so thankful for my circle in my community. I get so excited to sit down with people. I feel that it's such a realistic picture of what Jesus wants for our life. We do life together, not apart. 2 are better than 1. So I hope you come along this journey with me. I would love to hear your feedback. If there are topics we're talking about and are really opening up your frame of thinking, you want to know more and for us to dive deeper, to get raw and honest, that's what I want. I want a podcast where people's lives are changed. So that's why the podcast is called Landed. It's seeing it through on this new land, finding ways of this new life to work, to figure out how to sustain this life together after burning the ships. It's so wild to think about, burning the ships. That's the core of what this podcast is. It's okay to reflect on the past. Hindsight's 20/20. So much easier to look back at our lives. So much easier to look back at that ship where we got comfortable. It's really easy to see why things didn't work out. But we don't see it in the moments. We're burning the ships at starting this podcast. I'm saying goodbye to the boat as I watch it at a distance in flames. I'm excited about that. I hope that this podcast inspires you and gives you hope, and I'm hoping that you get a glimpse of your life through mine as I'm dealing with whatever comes on this new land, as I deal with this current season of disappointment where I saw something not work out forever. So will you join me on this journey? I look forward to the next episode.